From author Jatika Six Colors Gibbs comes your next must-read book, Until Now, available on Amazon. Until Now is a book about the first 25 years of the author's life. It includes childhood trauma, abuse, and the author being forced to hide their true self, being abandoned, and many, many other things. The author's hope is to reach readers that can relate and let them know that they are not alone in their trauma. They are not at fault for the terrible things that's happened to them. They are not victims, but are survivors, and together we can get through anything. Author Jatika Six Colors Gibbs has been writing poetry since childhood, and Until Now includes the author's life story, but also includes related poetry between chapters. Until Now, from author Jatika Six Colors Gibbs. Order your copy right now on Amazon.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Brian Craig Show podcast. This is Kathy, Brian's co-host, and Brian's here with me. I wanted to bring up this interesting little tidbit we missed today. Harris Faulkner, she asked, now Ari Fleischer, I have a lot of respect for him. She asked him on her show today, she said, who is running the White House in your estimation? And his answer is very surprising. He says, unequivocally, it's Joe Biden.
Ari Fleischer said that?
Yes. And Harris Faulkner said, you think? He said, absolutely. He runs the White House, adding that he sets the tone. The Fox anchor then asked Fleischer, why does Biden turn his back on the press and never answer any questions?
Before you go on to the second one, stop on the first one. Ari Fleischer, who was George W. Bush's press secretary on 9/11, he's very smart.
Very smart.
Ari Fleischer's analysis is usually spot on.
Yes.
And what he said there was very interesting. That's like lawyer talk. He said he runs the White House because he sets the tone. The follow-up question she didn't ask. Setting the tone is not day-to-day decision-making. And I take that from Ari Fleischer as he's running the White House if the definition of that is setting the tone, which is complete chaos, where there is no one person making decisions. And I wish she would have gotten a little more detail into that, because I don't think
she knew where to go after that. She was caught off guard.
It's a shocking statement. And Ari Fleischer is very well connected. I think Ari Fleischer is saying Joe Biden is not running the show.
No, well, let me tell you again. She followed up with, why doesn't he talk to the press? And his answer was, because he doesn't want to talk to the media, because he's running the show and he gets to make those kinds of decisions. Now, let me tell you this. He said, I think it's overstated to make the case it's his advisors, it's other people. Presidents make the call, presidents make the decisions, and Joe Biden is well enough that he's making the decisions. So it's Joe Biden. He's making the wrong decisions. Well, I disagree with Ari Fleischer, because if that was the case, Joe Biden wouldn't come out and say, I'm not supposed to this, I'm not supposed to that, I was told to do this, I was told to do that, and he wouldn't be confused when somebody asked him about giving $500,000 to illegals, where he clearly didn't even know that was happening.
Now, please, Kathy, do not put me in a position where it sounds as if I'm doing something I'm not, defending Joe Biden.
Okay.
I am not in any way defending Joe Biden.
Okay.
I think Joe Biden is completely checked out. I think he is morally and professionally bankrupt. I think he is the most corrupt person to ever become president of the United States. And
I agree.
And I've been saying all year long, Joe Biden is in this job to set his family up financially for the rest of their lives. I couldn't believe Hunter Biden went to this art show with his family looking like he was Jackson Pollock wearing, But this is certainly a possibility, okay? Taking it away from Biden. I've been in business for a long time. Radio's a business, and there's a business side that you all never get to see, and that is business meetings. And today I had 3 business meetings today after the show of different sorts and types. And one thing I've learned from men, this is a very common thing that men do.
I'm interested to hear this.
And I don't and I think a lot of people listening will agree with this that are in business when they think about this. And this doesn't just go for people that are businessmen. if you're in sales and you're dealing with men, you'll hear this a lot. Men, when they don't want to say no, their pat answer is, I've got to talk to my wife. I got to run it by my wife. You get that from guys.
If they're doing business with their spouse,
well, if it's
right?
No. Men use as an excuse,
right.
I've got to talk to my wife about it. Even when they don't have to talk to the wife about it, it's an out because the wife's not there. It's one of the most common things men say in business meetings. I've encountered this over the years. So Biden,
and in sales too. I think in sales meetings especially.
So this is a possibility, and please don't think I'm defending Biden. Okay? I never liked this guy.
I won't think that. I know you don't like
when
him.
Biden was in the Senate, he was one of the nastiest men I've ever seen in the United States Congress. He was very nasty. He had the worst hair transplants I've ever seen. He had those old-fashioned doll hair transplants that look like the doll hair. And Rush called them plugs Biden. Remember that? He had the plugs. Okay. But it is possible.
It's like a science experiment.
See, this is what I think Biden does sometimes. Okay. When Obama was president, Brit Hume was doing something. I can't remember what the particular issue was. I think it was Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman when he said, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Obama, not Biden.
Yeah, Obama said that. And on Fox News Channel, they talked about this, and Brit Hume said that Obama uses race as a shield and as a weapon.
That's true.
Okay? And if you can't figure out what that means, think on it. Okay?
I thought that was a really great way to put that, and because that's very true.
Yeah, he uses it either which way, whichever's going to be. And I think Biden obviously is mentally checked out a lot of the time, but not as much as you think. And I think a lot of times he uses this, well, I only can call on the people on this list as a way to avoid being held accountable by the
That's possible.
I think he uses it sometimes, if not all the time, as a way to escape having to deal with consequences. And he already has a friendly media. You know what I mean? And they cover up for his mental things and everything. So I don't think Biden is as checked out as we think.
Well, and that goes with his history, because how many times, like today, he gave a speech and referred to Satchel Paige as the great, I don't want to say the word, not the N word, but kind of. He used a word that's definitely not.
Well, he used an N word.
He used an N word, not the N word, but
another N word.
Another N word that was used probably in the 50s and 60s to describe him. And he has a lot of oral gaffes throughout his career that are excused by the press and by other politicians. That's just Joe. That's just Joe. So he has a history of this kind of behavior of just saying stupid, sticking his foot in his mouth. So I'm really surprised. So I don't know what Ari Fleischer meant. He could have been, I think what he was trying to say is this is all on Joe and don't excuse it. I think he was trying to say don't give him an out, because Harris Faulkner, maybe he was thinking she shouldn't give him an out. This is this is on him.
Yeah.
And I think he was trying to say to her, in a way, this is on Joe Biden. Don't give him an out.
Yeah,
don't give him an excuse.
I agree.
And
I agree.
So that's what you're kind of going with.
Yeah, I think he uses that image to his advantage. Now, you told me something that I missed. I went in the other room, and I wish I would not have missed this. It was during one of the breaks in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, and Neil Cavuto said something. I did not hear this. You can tell me this a second, but if Neil Cavuto said what you say that he said
it.
He is the dumbest man on television news.
He is. I mean, and that's
tell people,
dumber than.
Let's talk. What did he say exactly again?
Okay, they were talking about the prosecution, how the judge is a little tough on the prosecution, and I don't think the judge is necessarily being tough. I think he's calling out the prosecution because they keep breaking his rules.
Yeah,
and he's getting pissed. So he talked about that with this guest, and he said, the judge is being tough on the prosecution. Can the prosecution use that if they lose to appeal the case?
Okay, yeah. Neil Cavuto said that?
Yes.
Okay, now, for those of you...
even I know the answer to this.
Now, we have a lot of listeners in Australia, the United Kingdom, and in Canada.
Right.
and you do not have a great system of justice like we have. In the United States, we have something called double jeopardy.
Right, which everybody knows.
If you were on trial for murder, you could be on trial for 10 murders.
Right.
It could be one murder. When you are found not guilty and are acquitted, the prosecution can't come back at you and appeal it.
No, that's it. You're free.
To do that's called double jeopardy. In fact, it's so bad. O.J. Simpson was acquitted for killing Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown. If he came out today and did a TV interview and said that he did it and detailed how he did it, they couldn't go after him. Even if you confess after.
He did kind of in that book. Remember that book, If I Did It?
Yeah.
Did he write that?
He did write it, If I Did It. He wrote a book called If I Did It.
If I Did.
And then he walked through how he covered up the murders. Yeah. Yeah, and then Fred Goldman got the book and released it and changed the title to "I Did It."
I tell you,
this thing with Cavuto.
Yeah,
Cavuto's talking about the prosecution after an acquittal appealing a prosecution against someone. Neil Cavuto, if he believes that, he is too stupid to be on television. That is, that is insane.
He said it.
Every school kid in elementary school understands double jeopardy in this country. What a dumb comment to make.
Prosecutors cannot appeal a case. The only way they can retry you if there's a hung jury. They can retry the case if they decide
and even then there's
to
limitations.
Go through with it. Right.
Now this may have changed.
That has happened.
When the O.J. Simpson verdict watch was going on, people assumed that O.J. was going to be no one thought there was going to be an acquittal. Everyone thought it was going to be a hung jury. And they were saying if there was a hung jury, the prosecution could come after them 2 more times. They can try people 3 times if there's hung juries in California. That's back then. That may not be the case today. It was many years ago. But Neil Cavuto is hard. It's hard for me to believe Neil Cavuto is that stupid to not know basic things. Basic
civics.
Now, there's a new mayor.
Apparently he is.
There's a new mayor coming to New York City. And what has happened today, this is insanity. Listen to this. This is in trending politics. If New York City Mayor-elect Eric Adams cracks down on crime in the Big Apple, Black Lives Matter's co-founder Hawk Newsom is promising, quote, riots, bloodshed, and fire, unquote. Despite a heated debate with BLM and the mayor-elect Adams, he said he will be reinstating a version of the undercover anti-crime unit that was disbanded at the height of widespread police protests last year.
I like this new mayor. I said to you, because you said he was a cop, and he's a Democrat, but I said to you, he's probably not really a Democrat, but in New York, you have to run as a Democrat in order to win. You can't win anything in New York City with an R after your name. His policies so far as policing and stuff, seem to be more like Giuliani.
Yeah.
And I like this guy. He seems tough, and he was a police officer, and he should go tell this guy to go piss right off.
Yeah, he's a retired New York City police officer.
Well, then he's going to be in favor of the cops.
I wouldn't be so quick to praise the guy because I don't know anything about Eric Adams.
Well, I like what I've heard
too much.
So far.
I don't know. Well, I know a little bit about him, but I don't know how he's going to run things. But I'll tell you this. New York City is not a safe place to go. And
not right now.
Our daughter recently went to California, and it was the first time that she took a trip that big by herself. Okay, she went to meet some friends. She's traveled with me. She's been out of the country. I've taken her out of the country multiple times, and she's traveled around, but never alone. And it's a pretty scary thing as a parent when your daughter travels across the country alone like this. But, she's 22 years old. She did it. But if she were going to New York City, I would have put my foot down and done everything to stop it.
No, it's not safe right now.
New York City is very, very dangerous. And this Black Lives Matter founder talking about bloodshed and riots, as far as I'm concerned, he should be arrested.
I agree. He should not have a place at the table.
That is incitement of violence.
I agree.
And there are... the thing about Black Lives Matter.
But de Blasio won't do that, and this guy's not mayor yet.
He's not mayor
till
yet.
January, so he doesn't have the power to do that
I don't know where he said it, if it was in New York, if he was out of the city, out of the state. I don't know where he said it, but that's the incitement of violence. And let me tell you,
bloodshed,
freedom of speech ends when you're inciting violence. And this guy, Black Lives Matter formed during the Zimmerman-Trayvon Martin thing. Mm-hmm. And there's been a lot of controversies. He's a founder. The other founder has multi-million-dollar homes. Black Lives Matter bills itself as a peaceful organization. And they're out there saying things like that. Let me tell you, if I were a member of Black Lives Matter, you should be responsible. I'd be responsible to come out and say, hey, I don't support that.
Can you imagine if the Klan existed like the left likes to think, and a member of the Klan was out there saying things like that, which of course doesn't happen. But could you imagine if that happened? But these groups, some of these groups seem to get away with this kind of rhetoric, and
liberals get away with everything.
It. I mean,
but here's the thing,
it's crazy.
Here's the thing with this Black Lives Matter threat against the mayor-elect. This Black Lives Matter guy has put the mayor-elect in some position, because now he must form that unit, because if he doesn't, it will, even if he changed his mind or didn't want to, if he doesn't put that unit back together, it will look as if he was intimidated by the Black Lives Matter guy threatening violence.
No, he better not give in to this.
But then when he does it, the Black Lives Matter guy is going to say, I told you not to do it, and there could be a reaction. Listen, everyone agrees that police should handle themselves according to the law. Police have a very difficult job. And when you have groups like this that have leaders going out there encouraging violence against police and against the community because they don't get their own way, that's a very, very dangerous situation. This guy should be arrested. He should be hauled in and questioned. He should be prosecuted for the incitement of violence. Now, I want to take a moment to tell you guys about, of course, the Thomas Edison of sleep, the inventor of the MyPillow, and that's Mr. Mike Lindell himself, who is really being victimized by the cancel culture times 20 million, because he's got the establishment of the cancel culture, the establishment of the Republican and Democrat parties after him. Mike Lindell talks about this. He's being sued for over $1 billion. He's obviously a wealthy man because he's invented these incredible products that we use ourselves. But he's up against people that are billionaires, and there are multiple of them against him. And he was asked by Liz Willis on Right Side Broadcasting, what can people do, Mike Lindell, to help you? He said the best thing you can do is go to MyPillow and buy something. He needs to have top representation. He's being sued. His company's being sued. He's countersuing. He's going to court. He's going there.
Everything.
If they have their way, that what they want to do is bankrupt him and take his company.
Yeah.
And when you buy MyPillow products, you were standing up against cancel culture. And let me tell you, I have always been a tolerant person for everyone's viewpoint. I have always, on the radio, taken calls from all political sides. I am very, very much against cancel culture. And this cancel culture needs to be stopped, and there's no better place to stop them than their fight and attack on Mike Lindell. Now, we have our very own, of course, promo code Kane, where you get incredible deals, but Mike Lindell's gone a little further than that. He's given us our own MyPillow website, which I have the link of in the description of this episode, mypillow.com/Kane, Kane. And when you go to our MyPillow website, you will see the lowest prices on some of these items. That it'll just blow your mind. The lowest prices ever. The MyPillow mattress topper, which we have, 50% off. The MyPillow My Slippers, 50% off with our promo code Kane, Kane. You do have to use our promo code Kane at checkout. There's many other specials there. Whatever special you see at mypillow.com, you can also take advantage of with our promo code Kane. Stand with Mike Lindell. Do it in the MyPillow My Slippers if you can. 50% off with our promo code Kane, Kane at checkout. But the way to stand with Mike Lindell is to buy MyPillow products. So do that with our promo code Kane, Kane. We'll be right back.
When it comes to finding unique items and gifts, visit Freedom Creations LLC on Etsy.com. There you will find the perfect gift for everyone on your holiday shopping list. Make sure to check out their Squid Game ornament or their Egyptian-style dog tags and bowls, as well as the I Love You printed signs. That's just to name a few of their items. The designs are different than anything you have ever seen. Everything is very detailed and high quality at great prices too. That's because Freedom Creations LLC on Etsy are passionate about everything they make. They take great care to ensure that all of their 3D printed products are designed and printed with you, their customer, in mind. Your satisfaction is their top priority. What are you waiting for? Start shopping right now. Go to Etsy.com and search Freedom Creations LLC. That's all one word. Share the shop on all of your social media so your friends can discover Freedom Creations LLC too. Go to Etsy.com and search Freedom Creations LLC. Customized gifts and 3D printing. Stock analysis, options, Forex securities. It's all at StockSociety.com. Stock Society is a Discord signals group that provides actionable trade alerts that you can use, as well as education and all the tools you need to become a sufficient trader. Stock Society provides real-time alerts for options, stocks, and crypto, as well as important news updates, live flow data, education, and live trading. Stock Society is a like-minded community compiled of both veteran and new traders. They also offer memberships that unlock all of their premium tools and services, including alerts and more. Stock Society's goal is to develop members into self-sufficient investors. Go right now to StockSociety.com for all the information on membership levels and the Discord invite. Follow them on Twitter and Instagram at Stock Society. StockSociety.com. From author Frankie Albritton comes a new book series that you will want to add to your must-read list. The Midas Plot, available on Amazon. In The Midas Plot, follow young Matt List, who yearns for adventure. The son of a banker with a prominent but mysterious past, his unique abilities seem wasted as he herds cattle on desolate ranches in the Southwest while collecting debts for his father's bank. It's the dawn of an era when gold reigns supreme and a new power, the United States, led by a dynamic president, begins to exert its military and economic influence on the world stage. Having survived war and now a graduate of West Point and England's Cambridge University, Matt must use his background as a military officer, aviation pioneer, and founding member of the Federal Reserve to combat a worldwide conspiracy by Midas and his Eternal Ones to manipulate gold markets. Using dark powers, they change history to fulfill their catastrophic prophecy. Using the relics of the Eternal Ones, the choices Matt makes will determine if he will forever be with beautiful but mysterious Helena or permanently end the journey of the Eternal Ones. Start your journey to eternity with Book 1 of this epic series, The Midas Plot, from author Frankie Albritton, available on Amazon. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast. Broadcasting from sunny South Florida, Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy.
I want to tell you one thing real quick before you get CBS, more fake news. They deleted a post declaring Kyle Rittenhouse a murderer before the trial ended. They used the term, it says here in their tweet, Kyle Rittenhouse testified in his murder trial yesterday, breaking down in tears as he told the jury he murdered 2 men at a Black Lives Matter protest. That's a little irresponsible. They deleted the tweet. In America, I think people are forgotten. You're innocent until proven guilty. And I know that's hard in the country where there's so much media and so much attention on these things and video and pictures and things get out there. But that's the way it is in this country. And let me tell you, Kyle should sue CBS for calling him a murderer before he was even convicted of that, because he's probably going to get acquitted the way things are going. And to go out there and tweet, the media is so irresponsible. Look what they did with that kid, that Kavanaugh kid, or not that kid, that kid from Ohio. What was his name that sued CNN with the Native American banging the drums?
Yeah, I can't remember his name. Yeah, Nick Sandmann.
Nick Sandmann. He got probably a lot of money. They took him. Now, I know he wasn't on trial, but he was a minor. Kyle was a minor when this happened. And, the media just drags your name through the mud. And to go out there and literally call him a murderer is pretty outrageous as far as I'm concerned. If it's self-defense, you're not really that's the wrong terminology.
This trial, I compare it a lot to OJ because there are some comparisons to be made because they're both high-profile murder trials. I know there have been other ones, but this one is very unique, okay? This one's very unique. When Kyle Rittenhouse testified yesterday and all the evidence that has been entered involving the 3 shootings, they are textbook examples of self-defense. Textbook examples of self-defense. And it's not even up for debate. They are. All the evidence, the photographs, the videos, and of course the testimony of the witnesses.
Yeah, they have a lot of witnesses saying that.
And Kyle Rittenhouse, most everyone that I've heard talk about Kyle Rittenhouse, most everyone, believes that it was self-defense and he should be acquitted. There's not a racial component here because Kyle Rittenhouse is white and the 3 people he shot, the 2 he killed and the one guy they're all white. But the left-wing media are handling this as if it's a racial issue. Joy Reid said last night on her program on MSNBC that the Kyle Rittenhouse case is an example of why we need critical race theory. They're making it a racial thing when everyone involved was white.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But
that
OJ,
shows you how far gone she is.
Now the gun's black.
Oh well,
the gun's
that must be it.
Black metal. But during the O.J. Simpson trial, I was on the radio then, and I always call the O.J. Simpson murder trial the golden age of talk radio. It was insane.
It was insane.
And it was a very interesting experience. The trial was
every day was captivating. Every day.
Well, the way it went in talk radio was something I've not experienced since. I don't think I'll ever experience again. When it first happened, and we were, before there was a pretrial hearing where he was in court, and then there was the actual trial. And before the pretrial hearing started, people would call up and say, OJ didn't do it. And it was black callers would call up. Every line on the board would be lit with black callers. OJ didn't do it. He didn't do it. And then when the pretrial hearing started, which was just, these were hearings that were televised when evidence was being entered, and you got a kind of a summary of everything. Then the calls started to change a little bit, and that's when they started talking about Furman being a racist. And then when the trial started, there was still a little bit OJ didn't do it, and Mark Furman set him up.
Well, they pulled the race card. Johnny Cochran pulled the race card, and it worked.
And then about halfway through the trial, the calls changed on a dime. Like in a day, black callers would call in and say, "Yeah, OJ did it." But white people have been getting away with killing black people for 400 years, so 2 for us is okay. And I'm not exaggerating.
That's crazy.
And it was amazing because people were saying, "Yeah, he killed 2 people, but I think he should get away with it because he killed white people." This was
insane.
Every day for months and months. And
when you challenge them, those callers,
oh yeah,
they just felt
they would say, "Yeah, he did it," but I don't care.
They just felt totally justified, and there was no swaying them.
It was amazing. And the Rittenhouse case, most people I talk to say self-defense, self-defense, self-defense. No one is saying that he committed a crime and he should get away with it for some reason. They're saying that he was saving his life against these people who were trying to kill him. And the witnesses, there was another witness today who was there, who heard the people that were shot saying they were going to kill people. So, it's really interesting. I think if any reasonable person were to watch the Kyle Rittenhouse trial and testimony, that they would agree that he acted completely in self-defense. In this country, we have such a divide going on politically between the left and right. Everything is a divide now.
Yeah.
Everything's a divide. And I really hope, I hope Kyle Rittenhouse is completely acquitted.
I was thinking about it last night because he's so young and watching him break down. And you guys know, in the beginning, I was not on his side. And then after watching the trial, I've changed my mind. But, like I've said, he shouldn't have been there, but Antifa shouldn't have been there, but they were there. So you have to deal with that reality. They were there. But, I was thinking about him last night, this young kid, And I was just thinking, because my head is like, he's going to get acquitted or it's going to be a hung jury. But then I started thinking last night, what if this guy is found guilty?
Oh, gosh.
He is 18 years old.
Well, there'll be an appeal.
If he gets, that takes years. If he gets found guilty of 2 counts of murder, he's done. He's done his whole life. That's it. How is this kid going to handle this? He still has baby fat on his body.
I don't think this judge is going to let that happen.
I hope not.
I think if this judge thinks if it's going to go that way, he may do that mistrial with prejudice.
I think so.
I really don't. Many cases, even George Zimmerman and Trayvon. See, in the George Zimmerman Trayvon case, there was no eyewitness. There was Trayvon, but he was dead. And OJ,
they heard George Zimmerman saying, "Help me," which was totally
and OJ,
fake.
OJ killed Nicole, and there was an eyewitness who came upon the murder, and OJ killed him too, Ron Goldman. Yeah. So it is very unusual in murder cases to have witnesses.
Yeah, and video.
Because murderers typically kill the witnesses. And that's how Goldman got killed. In this instance, we have multiple witnesses, we have still photographs, we have video, and it's
unique.
It's just not up for it's not up for interpretation. It's self-defense. It's clear as day. What I'm hoping though comes of this trial is this. Obviously, Kyle Rittenhouse acquitted. I hope this is the beginning of the end of this restlessness in these cities where they burn and loot. And
the guy in New York's already talking about it, so that's not going to happen.
Biden at a federal level isn't going to stand up to that because these looters and rioters are the Democrats' constituency. They don't want to go against their constituents. But I hope this is the beginning of the public turning against it because everyone's saying, well, why was Kyle there? No one's asking, well, why were these looters there?
Exactly.
It's okay for them to have been there.
That's what my whole thing is the intent of why they were there. But what I worry about with this judge, because clearly he is on the side of the right. Is he going to, what I worry about, and I feel this happened with Judge Ito a little bit because he would go home and watch all the commentary and there was a ton of it. Everybody was talking about OJ, everybody. And is this judge going to go home and watch the pundits talk about him and start, is that going to start altering the way he is? Is he going to start favoring the prosecution more because he doesn't want to be called somebody who's helping this kid or called that he's being biased or, I worry about that, if the jury's sequestered, I don't know, but the judge isn't sequestered. I worry about him seeing all the commentary and seeing Twitter and seeing all these people ripping him for his, for them saying he's biased or he's helping this kid I don't want that to sway him. I hope not.
Well, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. It means a lot and it helps a lot. And it's very much appreciated by both of us. And
absolutely.
Our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you on every episode. The names you are about to hear are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, Rich, Nick, Pamela, Dee, Rick, Paul, and Jacqueline. These are our top Patreon supporters. Again, thank you so much. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this episode and every episode. Just click that link, and it's pretty self-explanatory on how to take it from there. My name's Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
There's no doubt, today more than ever, we all need a little uplifting. Times are scary, and the world can seem lonely and frightening, but God is always present. God loves us and wants us to know He is here and always there when we need Him. The Warriors for Christ podcast seeks to uplift, edify, and encourage you to be the light and salt in a dark and tasteless world. They have new episodes weekly. Be sure to subscribe and share the Warriors for Christ podcast with your friends and family. Find the Warriors for Christ podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Player FM, Stitcher, Deezer, Amazon Podcast, and on their website, warriorsforchrist.podomatic.net. That's the number 4, warriorsforchrist.podomatic.net. Warriors for Christ, letting the Bible speak and teach for itself.